Hi there, TaffyRue here, and welcome to another exciting edition of Features by TaffyRue, where we get to put the spotlight on young, upcoming artists and creatives who are bubbling under. So they say that as women, we say more words than men in a day. But I don't know how far true that is. But one thing I do know is that not all of us are as eloquent or articulate. And that is why I am so excited to be talking to my next guest, because not only is she gifted in speaking, but she's also using her gift to make a positive impact in society, to address issues that we are facing in our culture today, in our world today. And my next guest for today's show is Avril. Avril, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me on your show.
I know we were supposed to do this a couple of episodes ago, but we didn't manage to get to it. So I'm glad that you finally managed to come.
And I'm glad that I'm actually here. And I feel so honored and humbled to be on your show today.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So before we get ahead of ourselves and have a lovely conversation, maybe our audience wants to know, who is Avril?
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so my name is Avril Taral Nachipo. My AKA or stage name is Love Letter. So I'm a spoken word artist. I'm a poet. I am a marketer and a mental health activist.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So where did Love Letter come from?
Okay, so Love Letter actually came from my grandfather. So he passed away 2 years ago. That's when I started using the stage name Love Letter.
Okay.
So when I was young, around 6 years, I would write love letters to him whenever he got back from work.
Oh, sweet.
So it was more for competition with my grandmother. So I would make sure I write, I love you, Sekuru, Sekuru Dinokudai. So he then named me Love Letter.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather, by the way.
It's okay.
All right. So you were competing with your Ambuas there.
Yes.
Writing love letters to Sekuru. That's so sweet. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
And so you mentioned that you are a spoken word artist and also a poet, right? I like asking this question. What is the difference between spoken word and poetry?
Okay, so spoken word actually comes from poetry.
Okay.
So the difference is that in spoken word, you be speaking the poem. So there's the issue of visuals, and then people get to hear what you're saying. And then when it comes to poetry, mostly they're also page poets. Those who only get to write poetry, but then they don't perform it.
Interesting. Okay. So those are like the people who probably like write books from their poetry
and most
stuff
of
like
them
that.
are actually introverts. Yes.
Well, I've heard that most artists are introverts.
That's so true.
I wonder how that works, how we're supposed to be sharing our gift with the world, but for some reason we like staying by ourselves and being in a quiet place. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, so you also mentioned that you are a mental health activist. What does that even mean?
Okay.
Yes.
So I focus on the emotional and mental well-being of people. So as an activist, I'm always raising an awareness about mental health because I think as Africa, probably we are the last continent to embrace mental health.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
We've always believed that mental health issues are for the rich people in the Western countries. Like if a person says, I have depression, I have anxiety. So I actually found it quite important because like when we get to look at even children nowadays. I heard about a 9-year-old who committed suicide
Oh, wow.
last year. Yes.
Shame.
So I've actually been trying to raise awareness that those issues are there and they're real.
Yeah, there has been a rise in mental health issues. Why do you think there is this rise in mental health issues in Zimbabwe particularly?
Yeah, that's so true. I think it also has to do with the issue of genetics.
Okay.
Yes, and also the foodstuffs that we get to eat. Somehow it does affect our brain. Because I was actually shocked when I was doing a research on the internet that there are some babies who are born with depression.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know this.
Without even being affected by the external environment, they just biologically born that way.
Really?
Yes.
How can you tell that a baby is depressed?
A baby. I think if you see, babies do cry a lot, but then there are those babies that no matter how much they are pacified, they still cry. Try to give them milk.
Yeah.
Try to carry them.
Yeah.
They're just constantly crying. I think that is an issue that has to be looked into. Yes.
Okay, so besides it probably being genetic, what other issues are causing mental health these days?
I think also social media is playing a part. Yes. You'd actually get to see, like, when you go on Facebook, there are a few happy videos. Most of the videos are just depressing videos. Like, mostly before there was technology, you would hardly know that, for example, Love Letter is facing this. Love Letter has had a heartbreak. You would hardly know these issues unless the magazine actually, speaks those things out. So I think social media has played a major role. And also art is being expressed mostly in the sad way, the depressive way. So it is actually affecting our generation.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was growing up, I think I was just before like the social media thing started taking off. And I guess obviously we wouldn't share, like you're saying, heartbreaks and things like that online. Because probably that platform wasn't there yet.
Yes.
And the other thing is we didn't see like how successful our peers were, because if you didn't meet them in person, then you wouldn't know what they're doing on the holidays, whether they went to an expensive holiday or whether they got a really great opportunity, unless they came and they told you at school. But now when you're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, all of these platforms, you are able to kind of see the 10% of your immediate community's lives, and even a broader community as well, people you probably just know online, but you're seeing how successful they are. And then you look at your own life and you're like, I'm not there, and that kind of
so
adds
true.
to the depression as well, right?
And it gives you a lot of pressure.
Interesting. And how do you think probably spoken word can actually help in addressing these issues? So you mentioned that you do that kind of poetry that brings awareness to these issues. How do you think it helps address the issue of mental health? All
right. So I've seen that spoken word poetry, you can actually create a community. So whenever you post something and then someone says, oh, I'm actually going through this, I thought I was the only one. So I've started to use spoken word poetry in speaking out mental health issues, for example, about depression. But then I've been trying not to lean too much into the sad part, but also highlight that there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You can still come out of depression even though you're in it. So I've actually seen people saying that they actually tend to feel better at times when they get to read some of the poems that I get to write.
Oh, that's special. I think when you receive that kind of feedback, it helps you to keep going on,
Yes,
right?
that's so
Because you're like,
true.
okay, at least what I'm doing is helping someone.
Exactly.
Okay. Another form of feedback that you probably got, I saw a video of you online performing at a restaurant. I'm assuming it was impromptu.
Yes.
Like, how did that come about? Why did you do it? Because I know I wouldn't just.
I think you should try sometime.
Okay, so tell us all about it. You stood up in a restaurant and you just started doing a piece.
Okay, so what actually happened is that some of the Sundays I go at the National Art Gallery at Afritopia, and then I perform acoustic poetry. So what actually happened this particular day, because I've been performing acoustic love poems.
Yeah.
And then to my surprise, there was a book club. So I actually came there with a prepared poem. Right, it's a prepared love poem, but then the theme wasn't actually telling, right? And then I told myself, but I have to perform. Then the other mindset was saying, okay, what if you flop and you make an embarrassment of yourself?
Yes.
Like, it's the social media era, you make a fool of yourself.
Yes.
So I just had to try something new.
And then you just stood up and...
Yes, and then I just
the
stood up, and then I just had to say something which was relating to books.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that go? Like, how did the audience...
At first I was so nervous because when I started, I saw, people looking for their phones, turning the camera on.
Yes.
And then I wasn't sure of the next line I was going to say, so I just told myself that I just have to speak. Yes, and then I was actually shocked, hearing people snap with their fingers, acknowledging what she's saying, and then being given a round of applause at the end.
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, like I was saying, I wouldn't just sing in front of people.
But you should try it once.
Why should I try it? Maybe give me a good reason.
You never know. You know what, there's something that I've recently discovered. You never know unless you try. Maybe at times that one thing that you're not trying, just like when I saw your video with Pastor G, the one that you did on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I saw it, I was like, Taffy is so brave. Because I don't think I would. And then it was actually an opportunity for you. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think at times we are so scared of trying something, but then that's the stepping stone that we need.
Exactly. I guess you never know. Like you're saying, you never know unless you try.
Yes.
Like in that situation when I did the open verse for Pastor G's song, I didn't know what would come out of that. Okay. But, God opened the door to work with Pastor G at the end, because I even tried to do... If I hadn't done that open verse challenge, I probably wouldn't have gotten that opportunity, right?
Yes, so that's true.
Yeah, I guess maybe with that rationale, probably trying.
Yes.
And then seeing what happens. You'd be surprised, I guess, like
true.
you're saying, how people would respond. All right, interesting. Okay, so what else do you want to do with this gift of speaking? There is spoken word that you're doing. What other opportunities are open to you as a spoken word artist or someone who can speak well?
Okay. So I was actually thinking of starting maybe a spoken word program or public speaking program whereby I get to help other people who are interested in public speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. You started as in public speaking or straight into spoken word?
Okay, I started into public speaking, so I've just ventured into spoken word.
Interesting.
Yes.
What is the difference between the two, public speaking and spoken word?
Okay, so when it comes to public speaking, you just have to have maybe a certain topic. So I used to focus more on women empowerment, education, inspiration. So you just write your speech not in a particular order. It doesn't have to rhyme, and even if you forget the words, it's still okay. But then when it comes to spoken word, you can't forget the words. You don't have to forget the words because they have to be arranged in a certain manner, certain verses. They have to rhyme in a certain way, and at the same time they have to make sense. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess with public speaking, if you stay on the theme or the topic,
Yes.
whether if you forget your words, you're able to come up with something else that is related to what you're saying,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
But then with spoken word, you already have like a flow of ideas and things are rhyming, and you have to be able to keep that going.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I think now we've come to the part of the show where we switch roles, and
Okay.
the interviewee becomes the interviewer, and you get to ask me
That's
some
so
questions.
interesting. That's
So
nice.
I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that you would want, things that you've been burning to ask me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I would like to ask, as a musician,
Mm-hmm.
what has been maybe your biggest fear?
Oh, yes.
In the industry.
Yes, in the industry, my biggest
Mhm.
fear has been performing live.
Really?
Like, that is my biggest fear. I'm like, every time I think about having to perform live, I have to like psych myself up
Okay.
and really prepare. I guess probably because I'm not that, I always think that, there's so many people who can sing.
Mhm.
So I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm not there yet.
No, but I actually look up to you.
Really?
I actually look up to you, and I saw a video of yours. I don't know where you were performing. I saw it on your status whereby you were performing live.
Yeah.
Then I was like, wow, this is just so cool, because I don't think I have the guts to sing in front of people.
But you can speak really well in front of people. So, I mean, you're
I
already
try.
doing things, in front of people. So yeah.
I try.
So we all try. So we
Yes.
both try. And
Yes.
I try and sing
Yes.
publicly, and you try and speak.
Yes,
in
but
front of people.
it's something that I actually admired. And I was like, oh, wow.
That's
Like,
interesting.
yes.
Okay, wow. Like you said earlier, if you don't try, if you don't do it, then you don't know if
Yes.
you're making a positive impact or not.
Or not. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the next one is who inspired you to start singing?
That's a good question. Who inspired me to start singing? So for me, when I started singing, I was still in primary school.
Wow.
And I joined the choir, and the choir masters used to ask people to do solos.
Yes.
And I would watch other kids, do their thing, sing really, really well. And I'm like, I really wish I could do that. Then I got the opportunity in grade 5 to do a solo.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which was really amazing. And when I did that, I think, I liked it. And I was like, I would like to do more.
This is it.
I'd like to do more of this. Yeah. So I don't think any one person in particular inspired me to sing. It was just, seeing other young individuals being comfortable singing in front of people that kind of pushed me to want to do it as well.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so nice.
Yeah. But in terms of, as I then grew up, listening to other female musicians as well kind of inspired me. I remember I wanted to do a combination of gospel music, but and R&B.
Wow.
Because I used to love Destiny's Child.
Same here.
Those were like the ladies that I used to look up to in terms of just the vocal ability, their arrangements, the type of music. And then I listened a lot to Fungisai as well, locally gospel music. So I liked the message there, and I liked like the music there, and I found like, I kind of asked myself, couldn't I combine the two?
Wow.
So that's where my kind of music also comes from, just a combination of the gospel message
and the R&B. I think I've noticed that on your acoustic performances. Yes, and they are my favorite performances.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I really do enjoy them a lot, and I get to hear, the R&B part, because mostly when we hear gospel, gospel is just gospel,
Yes,
and then
yes.
so I really enjoyed,
The different
yes,
side of
the
things.
different side of the
Okay,
gospel.
no, that's
Yeah,
cool. That's cool. I always think that no one listens to those things.
I do. And I'm always,
Yeah.
I'm always waiting up for, okay, so is there a new one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's
Yeah.
that's encouraging. I'll probably do a little bit more of
You
those.
should.
All right. Any other questions?
Which questions do I have? I'm really trying to think. Okay, so in the gospel music industry, like, who do you look up to?
So at the moment, I think the one artist I'm really, really looking up to is CC Winans.
Wow, that's amazing.
She is just, she has been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
And she's managed to remain consistent and remaining faithful to the word of God. And I just love her. She's amazing. And I feel like God has used her to do amazing things in the world. So yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. And I'm sure you'd like to meet her.
Oh, definitely.
And I know you
Definitely.
will.
and if God may permit
Yes.
even just do a song with her,
Yes.
that'd be amazing.
And I can't wait. I can't wait to hear this.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Oh, well, it has been an amazing conversation. Avril, thank you so much for coming. I know you might have something special or, a small message that you might have for young people. So maybe you could look in the camera and give a word of advice to someone who is listening or watching the video.
All right. Firstly, I would like to say thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you
And
for coming.
I did enjoy a lot.
What's up?
I enjoyed. Thank you so much. Okay, so on the word of advice, I would like to just leave you with a few words that if you feel that you want to do something, then go for it. I don't know, like those days I've always been thinking like life is too short. Life is too short to say, no, I don't think I'm the age yet. No, I don't think like this. For example, I'd like to give an example for Bring It On. Unfortunately, I knew about it quite late. So I'll be turning 25 this year. So it's actually like my last year. But I always feel that, I wish I had known it earlier so that I would have more years. So just go for it. If you feel like there's something that you need to do, and if your heart says that you need to try this out, do try it out. And there are going to be people that are going to demotivate you along the way. There are going to be people who will be telling you that this and this person tried it and then it didn't work out. Well, you're not that person. You're your own person, and God has a different plan for all of us. So that's it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for watching. You heard for yourself. Try. Do it. If your heart is telling you to try something, try it out. You don't know where God may lead you, the door that God will open for you. Until next time, see you later.